you have been campaigning for good governance, campaigning for climate justice, and so on. As we gather here to have a common view, a common position for Africa as we prepare to go to COP28, and having listened to everybody here, from your perspective as a philanthropist, as a businessman, what would you like to add? Or what do you think we should not take with us to the world? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Okay. I really have 4 points to make. And the first one really is there is a silver bullet to solve this problem. And we are just like dodging all that to talk about, oh, how we can get more money for climate finance. Just tax carbon. Use the market. You guys in the rich countries taught us about, you invented capitalism, invented market. Why aren't you applying market forces to carbon? Why? And that is the question, because the problem now is that people make promises. Oh, you know, those poor guys in Africa and somewhere else, they have a problem there. Okay, well, we are kind people, you know. We're going to offer them some money. How about $100 billion for climate fight? But then, actually, things are tight. Oh, sorry, we cannot make it this year. Well, in those guys' mind, it's charity. It's charity. And that's a mistake. It should not be charity. This should be an international clear agreement. You break it, you own it. That is the honest answer. Without changing the market dynamic, will not change. Now, every American man, woman, child emits 17 tons every year. Every European, 6.5 to 7 tons a year. China, same. Now, the question here, excuse me, who gave you the right to use all this amount of carbon? We are 8 billion people in this planet. Science tells us we cannot emit more than 24 billion tons a year. That's 3 tons per head. 3 tons per head. Who gave the Americans the right to do 17? Who gave the Europeans the right to do 7? Why? You pay for it. If you pay for it, then you change. Then you cannot change behavior unless you pay for it. The only problem is that we do have very few statesmen. We have many politicians, very few statesmen. President Juncker, who is the president of the European Union a few years ago, said something very beautiful actually. He said, you know what, all of us politicians, we know what to do, but we don't know how to get elected if we do it. And that is the problem. That is the problem. We have a lot of politicians who want to be elected, but nothing will happen then, so nothing happens. So we must fight for carbon tax. I love what the Deputy Prime Minister said about that, and the first time I hear a senior European politician say that. Look, soon there's going to be a seat available for the Prime Minister in your country. I hope you get it. Anyway, because that's honorable of you to say that. Those guys are in denial. Who puts all this carbon up there? Who put it up? Own it. You need to own what you break something, you do it. That's the first point. Without carbon tax, everything else is charity. It doesn't work. That's one thing. Second thing, We talk about investment in Africa and green investment. We have been talking about investment in Africa for ages, but nobody invests in Africa. Trickle. Simple reason, it is impossible to invest in Africa. If all this rating agency rate you guys as junk, you are sub-grade investment. Who going to invest here? Most of the money out there, private money, is in pension funds, insurance companies. By law, they cannot invest here. By law. If I'm running an insurance company and I want to put $1 billion, and a lot of those people are nice people, they want to invest in Africa, but they say, look, if I invest $1 billion, I have to put another $1 billion here as a security, because I'm sorry, but you are sub-grade. You are not investable grade for me. This system is broken. It has to be sorted out. And this rating agency, they all have one office in South Africa, as if South Africa is Africa, 54 countries. They sit in South Africa and pontificate about all of Africa. Again, those guys act as auditors, and guess what? They sell consultancy for African countries about how to improve their grade. Excuse me? This is a clear conflict of interest. You cannot grade people and you go and say, I offer you consultancy how to improve your grade. Excuse me? People go to prison for that. Anyway, so that is something about the rating agency. It has to be sorted out. Then we come to this multilateral. I'm amazed about the lack of governance in the World Bank and the IMF. And, I told Ajay and Kristalina the other day, we were all in Paris for a meeting. I said, you guys, if you're running or your banks are listed in any decent stock exchange, you will have been delisted because your governance sucks. Can you have a listed company? Can you have any bank in the world without senior independent directors? Where are the independent directors in the World Bank? None. It's the shareholders major shareholders hug it. Where is the independent directors? Where is the voice of the other countries? Fine, major shareholders keep 60%, 70% of the shares. Fine, but let some fresh air in the room. Get some independent directors in the room. Otherwise, your governance sucks. You'll be delisted. Something else gross really happening in this institution. Do you know that these are the only banks in the world where the board sits in the headquarters? They sit in the headquarters with their staff. And I asked Ajay, how you run your business? You are the president of this institution and you have this board and their staff living on top of you, running around, telling the staff what to do, lobbying for their countries, whatever interest. No, don't give loan to this guy. Hey, you must give that. What is this? This is breach of basics of good governance. Do you know how much it costs the World Bank to keep those guys in residence? Every year, it is over $100 million. Do you know that? $100 million to house the board and their staff every year. Excuse me, what is the job of the World Bank? To eradicate poverty? To $100 million every year would have educated 1 million kids in Egypt every year. Why those guys sit there spending 100 million? This is the issue of governance. It has to be addressed. I'll stop here.
Well, thank you very much for bringing the private sector angle, the market angle to the discussions. But the good thing is that it somehow aligns with the suggestions that have all come here. What I get from that, because it helps me to summarize, is